Welcome to The Flight Deck, a leading edge podcast. I'm Maggie from the Communications Committee.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are sitting down and catching up with some of our MEC committee volunteers in our Committee Compass series. Today we have MEC Mentor Committee led by Chair Gabe Ciochon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Captain, can you tell me about yourself first? What do you do for the Mentor Committee and how did you find yourself as an ALPA volunteer?
I'm obviously the chair for the Mentor Committee. I joined the committee, oddly enough, I was the mentor chair for ExpressJet for 9 years. So when I came to United, after I exited probation, I found I wanted to give back to the pilot group, and I thought, well, I might as well take my experience that I had as a mentor chair and give back to the United pilots.
So you had that experience and you knew the ways to operate a good mentor committee and maybe some ways that we could grow as this committee.
Yeah, we took, because in 2016 when I joined the committee, we basically stood it up as its own committee. At that point, we kind of rebuilt the program. We did use a lot of stuff from ExpressJet's program, the frame structure, the contacts with the mentees, and then we added ALPA, from United, and some United contract differences, and just added the two together and came up with a pretty good program. And again, when we first started, it was only new hires.
So your committee, I don't want to steal the thunder, but is it the biggest?
It is the largest. We have 357 volunteers, 285 of them, I think, are new hire mentors. We have 701 captain mentors. There are about 30 people that run the program behind the scenes. It's a very large program. To give a reference of the size, the next largest mentor committee has 35 people. And I think if you add all of ALPA's mentor committees together, we're still larger than all of them put together.
So it's not not only the largest at United Airlines, it's the largest in ALPA.
It's the largest in ALPA national, period. Yeah, largest committee, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome information. Some of this I didn't know when I listened to your last podcast, so this is really great. Well, I'm an older guy, so I like to look on history a little bit because I think some of the history gives perspective going forward. So some committees have contractual, not mandates, but oversight. So, for example, UPA sections 5, 8, and 20 deal with scheduling, PBS, manpower, and that naturally comes under System Schedule Committee. There's nothing really like that for the Mentor Committee. So can you go into a little bit of the history of how the Mentor Committee came to be here at this property and what it's trying to achieve?
So the original mentor committees in general, if you want to talk about history, came from an FAA mandate that every airline should have a mentor committee. And if you ask me what year that was, I'd have to take a look at what year that mandate came out. It kind of sat as a rulemaking from the FAA. And so most airlines started a mentor committee. ExpressJet started theirs. United had a version of it back then as well. It was mostly run by management. But over the years, that rulemaking from the FAA changed to every airline must have a leadership and mentorship class. So we see like the LEAP training that we had, that was that checkbox. So the mandate for every airline to have a mentor committee kind of faded away. But most airlines had built one, while United had built one by then as well. So we kind of went with it. It's worked well. The pilot group, it's well received by the pilot group, and we've just continued on with the program.
Yeah, it's a great program. I've heard a lot of positive things. So what I want to get to eventually over here is how we mentor captains. So in the previous podcast, we went over new hires and how those people are mentored. And I'd like to go briefly over that as a new hire. What can I expect? And as we get past then, I want to transition to the captain mentoring. So if you could go ahead and tell us what we could expect as a new hire, appreciate it.
If you're a new hire, you come to United day one, basic in-dock. You go through all of your badging, all the normal stuff, and then you get assigned your base and fleet type. We get actually that class roster from ALPA. We take that class roster where the new hires can be based, what fleet type they're on. We do have some questions for them, like would you like a specific mentor? Would you like one in a specific area? Then we'll take that information and match them with one of our mentors that have that same criteria. Once that matching is done, obviously everyone's contacted and let them know that the matching from mentor to mentee has been made. In that case, the mentor pretty much takes over from there. We run a very proactive mentor program where the mentor does a lot of the contacting. There are other mentor committees that basically tell the mentee to, give the mentor a call if you have any questions, which usually works out poorly because they don't know. It's not a fault on them. They don't know yet, right? So the mentor does a lot of the legwork on it. So for the new hires, for example, the mentor will contact them pretty much right after basic indoc. We try to give them a little time to get through basic indoc as they're trying to just survive the first couple weeks. So then we have scheduled check-ins with the mentees. So we'll check in with them after basic indoc, after sim training, after OE, and then we have a couple more check-in points. They're a little more just maintenance type things. And then when they exit probation, they get a fairly lengthy email of officially welcome to United. Obviously, encourage them to volunteer with ALPA, attend LEC meetings, and make this airline what they want it.
Okay. With that, I'll ask then, what makes a good mentor?
A good mentor is a good listener because every mentee comes from a different background. The structure that I kind of outlined before, the material that we cover with the new hires is all kind of structure for the mentors, but it depends where they come from. If you have a new hire that came from a United Express regional, yeah, they know the kind of United system. Obviously, ALPA is much different than where they came from. It's just a larger machine. So the mentor kind of, as they just that basic introduction, they first contact their mentee just to get to know one another, that mentor actually will listen to their answers and modify that mentorship going forward. So it depends where they come from. The other part of a good mentor is obviously doing it for the right reasons. I mean, you have to be able to do this you're not doing it for yourself. You're not doing this to promote whatever you have. You're there for them. It's whatever the mentee needs. And I've seen many cases where the mentors have gone, above and beyond just that list of stuff that we have to cover with them, from medical issues or training issues or legal issues. They've gone the extra mile just to make sure that they retain employment at United. What else makes a good mentor is staying organized. Do you think I have to call, Mike here every 3 weeks? Pretty easy. You get 10 mentees at one time at different paces, right? And try and keep track of where they all are and when I need to call them. It actually gets very difficult. When I started this however many time ago, I had a paper calendar. I had to write on the calendar, I have to call so-and-so on a certain day. Nowadays, my smartphone, I can put it in the calendar. It reminds me. The mentors that are really organized at it now, they're actually scheduling these in advance. So they'll text their mentee and go, hey, when are you free next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, and they'll schedule time. So listening, staying organized, doing it for the right reasons are probably the three main qualities I look for in a mentor.
Do you accept maybe I should just preface this in saying that you are always looking for good mentors. I know because you come to us every couple of months and do a solicitation, and we are growing since the last podcast 2 years ago. We've grown 1,500 pilots, and that means a higher demand of mentors to handle I don't want to say caseload, but the expansion of the pilot group and trying to get pilots up to speed. So, anything on that?
Yes, we're always looking for volunteers. I know I send you I ask you every other month, right, to send out ads for both new hires and captain mentors. We'll be doing it again here very quickly, but we're always in need. And so if we could run the ad every week, that'd be great. That's when I don't want to take up space, but yeah, we're always in need for volunteers. If we're talking about going back to 2,600 new hires for the foreseeable future, for the end of 2025, from today forward, probably actually from 2 weeks ago, we'll hire 600 people. It's a huge number. Wow. And we have 280 roughly new hire mentors. I could easily use 350 of them, right, to cover the workload. But it is a stress. It is a stress for the group, right? When we get next year, I'll probably have many people at maximum load of work they can accomplish. So yeah, we're always looking for volunteers. Anybody that's got spare time, want to do it for the right reasons, please give me a call.
Okay, that sounds great. And actually, that's a good segue because you mentioned new hire and captain mentors. And that was something I wanted to bring up because we had changes in UPA 23 that made a provision for prior experience pilots to accelerate in the captain upgrade program. We also, in the last podcast that Maggie just did earlier this afternoon, talked about the concept of so you want to be a captain. And that is something different that happened between the last podcast and this podcast with you, Gabe, in that this is a new program trying to adjust to the influx of new pilots and to the different dynamic with a lot of retirements and the reasonably swift upgrade process that we're experiencing over the last couple of years. So could you talk to us about the Captain Mentor program?
Yeah. So that came over with Express as well. We had two programs there as well. We had a new hire mentor program and a Captain Mentor program. When we stood at the committee in 2016, I asked if the MEC wanted to have a Captain Mentor program as well. At that point, the upgrade times are 12, 15 years. It was determined, no, we don't need one just because of the upgrade times. I look at that. If I look back in time going, it doesn't matter if you've been here 10, 12, 15 years, right? If you haven't been a captain in a while or not at all, it's great to have that resource. So I look back and probably say we should have started one back in 2016. But, after COVID, when we started hiring a bunch again, the mid-tiered FOs didn't really want to upgrade. And I totally get it, right? You get good schedule, decent pay. Why would I work weekends, 4 days? I get it. So that went fairly junior. The upgrades went fairly junior, which they dropped to 15 months on the property. UPA 23 changed the landscape, as you spoke about. It allows for essentially probationary pilots to bid captain slots if a freeze is lifted. But you're referencing the new hire captains, which in October of 23, October 23, when UPA 23 started, the new hires now can get an upgrade in basic NDOC. So my reference before earlier when I talked about the new hires come in, they get their base and fleet. Now they walk in right on the board on the left-hand side, they'll write, here's all the FO slots, and then on the right-hand side of the board, they'll write all the captain slots. There were not, when the UPA first came out, there were 2, maybe 3 per class. But for the most of 2024, the first half of the year, there were about 20 new hire captains in every class. That, we referenced the accelerated pilots, that's $9K out of the contract, which United has to tell them within 7 days, they being a new hire, that they're either going to be 9K, which is the accelerated course, which I'll cover in a second, or regular, which means a complete probation, 500 hours, and come back to training. United had thus far has not used the accelerated pilot course for the 350 hours. They've all left them go to probation, 500 hours, and they come back to training. So we have seen those come back through. I can see the statistics in the upgrade class. So who's a new hire captain, who's a probationary captain, they are coming back through, but they've been here for just over a year as well. So UPA 23 didn't really change the the acceleration of the upgrades. It just allowed new hires to be assigned a captain slot in basic NDOC.
Okay, so what is different about mentoring a relatively new captain versus a first officer?
First officers, the mentors are just trying to get them basically on property, but get them settled in their seat, get them settled in the role, get them acclimated to ALPA, get them acclimated to United, just trying to get them through probation. That's their main goal, is to get them through probation, get them settled in. And at the end of the day, we want to be a self-sufficient pilot and an ALPA member. That's for the new hire. The captain side of it is a lot different, right? Because the captain mentor is not covering contract. They're not covering reassignments, pay, anything like that. That's not on their list, right? The captain mentor is covering leadership, decision-making skills, communication, not just with your FO and CRM, but with flight attendants, gate agents, maintenance, dispatch. Any one of those departments. It can be SOP compliance, any number of things, all on the safety side of it, right? So the captain mentors are really focusing on the safety aspect of the day-to-day operations of a captain.
It's a relatively new program. What's the feedback you're getting? How's it going?
We get great feedback. It started in February of 24 when we started this. So it's been a year and a half or so. Everyone that goes through the program gets a survey on how we did. So thus far it's been great feedback from the mentees. I have other upgrading captains want a specific mentor because they had a friend that came through in training, so I want the same mentor. So that's fantastic. The other feedback we get is that could it be a little bit longer, right? We just don't have the manpower to run a year and a half or 2-year program for it. It's fairly short, in the order of about 6 months for captain mentor training. that's the other feedback I get. Some of the feedback I get from the captain mentees are, that they kind of want it to be more. I'll just ask you a question. I'll just ask you if I have a question, right? Which again, I circle back around to. It's a proactive program, so the captain mentors are doing the same thing. They're reaching out every 3 weeks just to have a discussion of how's flying been the past couple 3 weeks, right? Anything interesting happening? Can we discuss it? And we kind of equate it to the what went well, what could have gone better aspect. They literally have the same discussion, but at a high level kind of captain discussion. And it's all between the mentor and a mentee, right?
Mm-hmm.
A mentee can come to me and ask a question. I'm like, it's between you and me, right? You can ask anything, right? So, and I always tell them, you can't make a decision that I haven't tried to make myself, right? So that's what the mentors are there for, to help them try to gain experience quickly without having to go through that trial period of the trial and error, method of becoming a captain.
So when we talk to different committees, a lot of the questions that we ask them may not be relevant to your committee in particular, but I kind of want to rephrase the question that I ask different committees. Instead of the question I usually ask of what are your top PDRs? What are the top things that pilots contact you to inquire about? My question for you is, what is your capability? What are the capabilities of the mentors to then reroute questions that pilots have? Because these mentors aren't subject matter experts in the entire contract.
No.
These are mentors that are then able to figure out what the question is and who best is equipped to answer it within the ALPA structure.
Sure.
So what kind of training do these mentors receive to be able to quickly kind of navigate these questions?
There was a number of things in that question.
Yeah.
So one, we'll start with the training first,
Yes.
right? And which will lead into the other parts of it. So the mentors do go through a half day, 4 hours worth of training. We cover all the aspects of, the do's and don'ts of a mentor, how to be a mentor, some of those aspects I spoke about earlier, being a good listener. We cover all the different check-in points, what to cover in those check-ins, how to track it. We do have a system where we track all the check-ins. You think it'd be easy, but there's hundreds of data points per day for tracking all this. So they go through all of that training.
Mm-hmm.
Within that training, we do cover specifically, there will be that moment in time where you get a question you don't have the faintest idea what the answer is. I've done this for a long time. I still get a question. I have no idea what that answer is. So we do teach them different methods to get an answer. I'll now circle back around the beginning of that, which I said is that we're trying to build self-sufficient pilots.
Yes.
So our usual first answer is, it's in this part of the contract. Go look and call me back in 10 minutes. That's usually the first answer, right? Is go try to find an answer yourself. Because anybody who has kids or answer a question for somebody else, if you just answer the question, you're the only person that's going to be called.
Got to teach them to fish.
Correct.
Yes.
So we do teach the mentors that as well, right? So we always teach them, take the opportunity to explain or at least show where things are and let them explore and find things on their own. From it be, anywhere in a contract, from flying together in content, any number of things. So we do open that for the mentors to train them. If the mentor needs to answer more quickly, which does happen, or we don't have the time to go fish through the contract for a while, you need an answer right now or fairly quickly. The other mechanisms we have an internal kind of discussion thread that we'll have between the mentors to kind of they'll ask each other questions of scenarios or questions of where can you get help from things. There's that. We do actually use the PDR system quite a bit. One, we teach any pilot to utilize the PDR system. You'd be surprised a lot of people don't know how to use the PDR system. The new hires are a little bit different because they may not have their login just yet, so it's not super uncommon for the new hire mentor to submit a PDR on behalf, right? Because they don't have their login just yet, which is fine. It always works. So there's that as well. We also train each mentor kind of what different committees and what they do. We don't spend a lot of time. There's a lot of committees in ALPA, so we cover the main ones we'll utilize and just how to interact with them. To get help, I think is one of the other parts of that question is how do we get help? The tracking system we have now allows the mentor to put a note in and tag this person has a training issue. which will automatically notify the group, the admin team that this pilot's having issues in training. We'll package it up and send it over to the training committee or whatever committee it needs for assistance. So that's worked out quite well. I don't think we've not answered a question anywhere, but it's always fun. You always get questions you never thought you'd get.
So we talked about the inception of this program, the evolution of this program. Looking forward in the future, besides obvious proportional growth, what else do you wish to see your committee become?
Very good question.
Or are you happy with what? That's also continued success is also a good answer.
No, you always have to look to improve. You can't, if you're not moving forward, you're moving behind. It's kind of, one statement I always like to use. But for us as a committee, we're always looking at ways to improve, how we mentor, when we mentor. We take all that feedback from new hires and from the captain mentees, and we feed that back into the system. In fact, we're changing a few things now. We're currently changing our software platform, which will allow for a lot more flexibility in the system, which is what we need because our current system's old. Our newer system will allow the mentors to keep track of their own mentees a lot easier. And that was one of the heartaches we had before because we asked the mentors to keep track of everything. That's how we justify the program. Right. But it's a difficult system they're using. And a new system, literally work on your phone. You can just click on a mentee, hey, I made contact with them, click a box, and they're good. So looking forward, that's our main project on the horizon. Circle back around to the volunteer numbers. Like I said, we're always looking for more volunteers. We could use as many as we can get. The captain mentor is a little more harder to come by because the requirements obviously be a captain, but have some experience as a captain at United. We do allow, if you had previous captain experience or line check pilot experience in another airline, or if you're like a commander in the military, something equivalent for captain mentor. They're a little bit, like I said, a little bit more harder to come by just because of the requirements.
Okay. And I think a cleanup question is part of that. So if you are interested in becoming a mentor, what kind of time commitment can we expect to do the mentoring work?
That's an excellent question. The mentors probably spend about 2 hours average per week doing the mentor work. So it's not overly busy, like hours-wise. I'm going to circle back around. I said it's on average, right? So you'll spend 2 weeks with nothing going on, and then you'll have a bunch of things going on at the same time. That's where that having some organizational skills as a mentor comes into play because you have to organize that.
And before we close, I'm getting at the end of my career, and you said at the very beginning that one of the reasons and one of the reasons I think we all do it is to pay it forward a little bit. And I'm so pleased to see people like you here as I'm leaving to pick up the mantle for other pilots around here, try to make this profession the best it can.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you to our listeners. This has been The Flight Deck, a leading edge podcast. We will see you out on the line.